So guys, this is the last assignment of our 7 days. Kind of sad, but it's very powerful. It's called wealth hacking. And I just made that up right now, literally in this moment. So it's wealth hacking. So this is how to step in and create a vibrational match to the version of you that is already currently creating and receiving the amount of money or abundance that you want to create, right? The first thing we need to remember is that money is only one form of abundance, right? Because money is what? A means to an end. If money is a means to an end, if someone were to deliver you the end result that you want, and money wasn't a necessary part of that equation, you didn't have to do X and Y to receive Z, so then you can go purchase F. You didn't have to do that. You were just given F. That is also a form of abundance. So by declaring our abundance when it comes to money, physical, tangible dollar bills or pounds or whatever it is, we can't neglect all forms of abundance. Love, relationships, gifts, right? All of these things that can give us access to the end result that money is a means to. Okay, so step one, do not limit your form of abundance and only be attached to money, right? Be open to all forms that can flow into your experience. Number two, realize that you don't need to attract it. You don't need to attract it. That there is already a version of you in a parallel reality that is already existing. Right? I'm going to get a little existential or esoteric for a second. Right? There's only one moment. I think we'd all agree. Everyone in this group has a basic understanding of some spiritual principles, I would assume. If not, then you'll learn. You gonna learn, right? So there's only the now moment is where we exist in the now. Every now and now and now and now and now, we're simply shifting to another parallel reality that seems similar to this one that creates a linear time. But linear time isn't really real, right? Simply because there's no future, there's no past, right? We can't say that the future exists right now because we're only experiencing right now. Same with the past. And there's infinite possibilities of the future and probabilities that may occur. Infinite, we can't say for sure, right? And same with the past. We can actually create the past from the present moment. That's a totally different video. So realizing that in this future reality somewhere, there's a probability line. Think of it like this. You're standing right now in this moment, and you have these lines extending from you. These are probability lines. It's probable if I go down this, if I start thinking this way and seeing things differently and responding differently to my environment, I'm going to go down this line. If I keep doing what I'm doing, I can go down this line. So imagine right now these lines of probabilities that if you start embodying these principles, you're going to shift to a probability line and shift to a reality where the version of you that's already receiving what you want to receive or embodying what you want to embody, you're simply going to shift to that version of you that already exists. Because right now in that moment, that version of you is real. There's a version of you, because you can imagine it, it's real, that is already receiving it. So it's not about attracting, it's about shifting to something that's already done and complete. So that's why it's possible for all of us to do anything we want. Because if we can imagine doing it, that means it's real on some level. And if it's our goal, it means it already exists. Right? We don't have to create anything, in a sense. We just need to shift to something that's already there. So all of you already have this inside of you. It's about shifting. So the first aspect of the shifting is to vibrationally line up with what it would feel like to be in that place. And if we take this to a neurological or a neurochemical level or a neuroplastic level or biological level to show how this spiritual stuff that seems way out here is actually proven by modern neuroscience. When I feel a certain way, chemicals in my body are released that feel, let's say I feel really excited, happy, and abundant. And I know if I were to make $10,000 a month, I would feel excited, happy, and abundant. By feeling those feelings now in this moment, a feeling is only a chemical. So the chemicals that are released in my body are unraveling my DNA and putting my body in this state of homeostasis and relaxation And it's allowing me to tap into my genetic potential, which is allowing me through epigenetics, right? Which look up Bruce Lipton. There's tons of studies on epigenetics, which is allowing me to access, rewrite, and copy my DNA. And all that means is I can access and create any new behavior. I can create new thought. I can basically free myself from the freedom of the past, right? When I'm in this state of flow, right? Which can always be accessed by just getting in the now. And that's why we had those videos before talking about checking in with yourself 6 times a day to get used to being in the now. So these feelings, excitement, passion, security, safety, whatever you think money is going to bring you, feeling those feelings now actually will and do genetically and physically and literally alter who you are on a physical level, right? It brings blood and focus to the prefrontal cortex and your frontal lobes, which gives you more creativity, more insight. It helps you tune in, it helps your senses tune in to language that is representative of what you're feeling in that moment. So if I'm feeling like I am a confident, competent person that's excited and at peace, and I know that wealth is in my future, if I believe that I'm going to, and I am, and all the money is on its way to me, if I believe that right now, my brain, my frontal lobe, will start wiring certain neural pathways together and creating new pathways together to figure out how, in my subconscious mind, to figure out how I'm going to create that money. So when I make the decision and start believing and putting energy into that I'm going to create X amount of dollars, my brain literally starts to rewire itself to figure out what the path of least resistance would be, because in nature, that's how it works. In nature, it's always the path of least resistance. You don't see a tree growing up and around and doing circles and then finally getting to the sun if it doesn't have to. It goes straight up. So everything in nature is amongst the path of least resistance. We are nature. We are part of nature. We are born out of nature. So our brain will figure out the path of least resistance, and our actual neural pathways, which are the pathways that contain thought and emotion, will start wiring together and creating a new way of thinking. And what that translates to is that those new pathways start programming our senses to observe our environment differently. So when I start seeing things differently because I'm believing something different, my senses and my perception changes. When my perception changes, I'm able to make new choices. When I can see something differently, I can choose to respond differently. Right? If I'm seeing everything as I've always seen it, I can't make a new choice. Because if I see it the same, I'm going to respond the same. But if I start seeing it differently, I start seeing a new possibility. I start seeing my bank account that doesn't have a lot of money as a loving reminder of a valid choice that no longer represents what I wish to embody. And I start seeing the possibility in my mind's eye of $10,000 in my account. And I start feeling into that. And then I choose to respond different every time I see lack. And I say, thank you for that reminder. Thank you. I love you, right? I have a new response. Then I can start making new choices. So what happens is your senses become attuned differently. So if you were in a room, and in one side of the room, you had a couple talking about how much life sucks and how much in lack and how much debt they have and how much money they owe. And in the other side of the room, you have 2 business partners talking about a financial opportunity where they could possibly make $1 million. They just need another person to team up with them. You're sitting in this coffee shop, and because you've been practicing the visualization we've talked about, you've been practicing getting in the now, and now you've been practicing feeling into what an abundant version of you feels like that already exists, and you're starting to see things differently. You're starting to make new choices. And in your visualization, you're starting to see the money come in, and you're no longer fighting it. It feels okay. It feels safe. You feel good. It feels more normal. It feels more familiar, the type of money you would to be earning, because you start identifying as someone who earns that amount of money. And this takes some time, right? Visualizing, that's a tough word for me. So I'm going to go back to school. See ya. Visualizing, and seeing yourself embodying that state and earning that money and being in that financial position allows you to have the experience before you have it in real life, physically. But your body and your brain doesn't know the difference. So the more you see it and feel it, and really it only takes one time to create a strong new pathway, one time for 15 minutes. If you can see it and feel it and boil it to a peak of emotion and excitement and passion around this image, your brain's going to store that. Now, every time that you act in accordance and think about it there forward and change your behavior, you're going to reinforce that behavior. So it really only takes one strong time, and then you have to be consistent from there on to just keep making it stronger and stronger. And over time, it doesn't take that long. After 30 days, you're going to notice a big difference. Then you just start identifying with it. It becomes who you are. I am a person who earns $10,000 a month, period. You get there and I am a person who earns $20,000 a month, period. Right? And you feel into that. So back to the coffee shop. You're starting to feel like, yeah, that's me. I'm a person who takes advantage of financial opportunities and is always immensely successful and receives more than I could ever expect to receive because I'm that abundant. You start feeling that way. Your senses, instead of tuning into what your old pattern may have been, lack, scarcity, fear, and you want to go have a conversation with the couple in the corner that's in that fear pattern, and that's what your brain attunes to, because your brain says, look, we need to find something familiar. We need to find something comfortable, because comfort equals safety, and safety equals I get to pass on my genes, and that's the only objective of our biology, is to pass on our genes. So when you're in this coffee shop and you're listening, your senses are looking for safety, always. We're always tuning into what's safe, what's known, what's certain, versus what's unknown, what's exciting, what's new. Because new and unknown, when we are evolving, equal death, right? So opportunity equals death, naturally. It's our biology. And sameness, stagnation, certainty, fear equals survival, right? Remember, we're the end result of 30 million years of the most afraid humans, of the most fearful humans to pass on their genes, over the last 30 million years of our evolution. We are the end result of the most scared, right? The most scared humans won, and they pass on their genes. So that's the evolutionary contrast that we get to experience here. So your brain will start tuning in to what feels most safe and comfortable for you. So if you've tuned yourself to feeling that you earning X amount of dollars and being a certain way and attracting abundance is safe, and this fear and the scarcity and the lack conversation is not representative of you, then your senses will start tuning to the other conversation, to the abundant conversation. So by sitting in the chair, and I've done the visualizing, and I've done the check-ins, and you're present, you're in the moment right now, you're not missing the moment, then you'll actually tune in to that conversation, and that's what it looks like on a tangible next step level, is you'll go to a coffee shop today, and instead of overhearing the conversation of crap and wanting to go add to it or sympathize silently, you're going to tune in to a financial opportunity and then go take action there. And it'll feel good. It'll feel normal. So that's how it all plays out. Now, how you can start embodying that person right now is write down a list of 5 to 10 feelings that you believe money will bring you. Security, happiness, options, freedom, choice, all these things. Write down what you think money will bring you. And you ask yourself this one powerful question. How can I start creating those things right now to the best of my ability with what I have available to me? How can I start creating those feelings or those things that I think money's going to bring me to the best of my ability with what I have available to me. And it might look like it's really about wanting, it's about doing more with less until you can do less and have more. So not letting your circumstance dictate what you do and what you can have and what you can feel. So then your circumstances have to change, right? So it might be for certainty. Money's going to give me certainty. How can I find certainty right now? How can I be so certain? Well, I can get into a state of appreciation and remind myself that my needs are met. I'm not going to die. I'm not going to starve. I have all my basic needs. I have this house. And I'm going to practice appreciation more and being certain that I actually don't need anything else to be okay. That's certainty right there. I don't need this money. I don't need the money. Such a big financial blueprint belief. I love money, but I don't need it to be happy, to be okay, to be certain. I love money, but I don't need it. But I want it, but I don't need it. Right? Being detached. So first it's feeling into those feelings, asking yourself that question. And just ask yourself. And let your imagination run. You have the answers. Remember that. Second is as you're feeling into that state, making and following through with new choices that reflect the abundant version of you. I talked about this in an earlier video. If I'm starting to feel like I know $10,000, $20,000, $5,000 is coming through this month to me, I don't know where, but I feel it, then I know I'm going to start making new choices that reflect that. And that might mean actually spending some money on certain things that I value that are representative of the abundant version of myself. I told the story about the smoothie. I wanted to get that smoothie. It's $17. I didn't have a lot of money, but I really wanted it. It wasn't out of a place of lack. It wasn't out of a place of consumerism and boredom. It was out of a place of excitement and health and wanting to feel good, right? So, and it's really tasty and healthy. So I decided, even though I don't feel like right now I have a lot of money, I'm not going to let that dictate the choices that are representative of my truth in this moment. So I'm going to go buy that, and I'm going to feel really good about it. And I did. And I felt so good about it. I felt abundant because I knew the abundant version of me making $10,000 or $20,000 or $30,000 a month would do it. So you're asking yourself that question constantly. What would the abundant version of me do here? What would the abundant version of me do this morning? What would the abundant version of me do when it comes to this investment or this opportunity? Would the abundant version of me go shopping all the time and just buy a bunch of clothes that I don't need? Would they? No. Would they spend it on things that are investments in my health and my future and myself and that make me feel good and that are aligned with my values? Yes. So the biggest secret or trick to having a strong financial blueprint is being okay with letting money go. And I had a really strong pattern interrupt around letting money go. My mentor told me, he goes, if you were your money, would you hang out with you? If you were your money, would you hang out with you? My answer was no, because I was needy. I was clingy. I was suffocating my money. I'd get it and I'd hold on to it and I wouldn't want it to go because I'd be afraid it wasn't going to come back. If you're afraid that your money's not going to come back, it's going to stop coming to you because the more money you have, the more afraid you're going to get. And now you're putting fear and money in the same box. And money's not going to go in a box that it's afraid of. It's not. So you have to be so okay with letting money go and having faith that it's going to come back in increasing quantities always. The more money I spend on things that make me feel good allows money to come back in increasing quantities. I'm always making more than I'm spending. The money that I spend is always coming back to me double. Right? These are the thoughts, these are the beliefs that you get to install. The money that I spend comes back to me in increasing quantities. And this is why. When you have money, think about the money. It's just paper. It's a paper thing. that we believe has value. When you give that, and you can think about it as holding energy. I'm holding this energy, right? You can't deny when you pick up money, you get a certain feeling. You pick up $500, you're like, this feels good to have this. You pick up $1 million, like, oh my God, this feels so great. There's a transfer of energy. Now the money's not creating that because it's not conscious, right? We're creating that. We create that feeling. We create that right now by looking at things right now that are in our life that are worth millions of dollars, like relationships, like your health, like the ability to walk down to the beach and close your eyes and listen to nature's song and become at peace in 10 minutes. That's worth so much money, isn't it? You could do that every day. That's available to you. How much is that worth? That feeling that you're able to achieve, how much is that worth? Maybe that's the one thing that allows you to heal relationships, do better at work, love your partner deeper. How much is that worth, right? So we put all this worth on money. I have this dollar bill, and let's say I have $10, and when I give you this $10 in exchange for something, and when I'm making an energetic exchange, this thing that I love that makes me feel a certain way, it makes me feel good, when I can feel better about giving it than holding on to it, when I can feel better about giving it than holding on to it, then I know that it has to come back to me. Because if I take the label away from the money, okay, this isn't money, it's just energy, and what I'm receiving makes me feel good, and what I'm giving makes me feel really good, then I'm in the state of abundance during the exchange. I'm not in a state of scarcity during the exchange. Being in a state of scarcity during an exchange says, oh God, I really don't want to give this away. Well, here we go. Shit, I have less now. But you're forgetting what you received. You're also forgetting that when you give the money in a way that's aligned with your values, that makes you feel good, right? You're not in this place, I'm so bored, I just got to go spend. That's not an abundant mentality. That's not going to solve the problem, right? That's going to take some self-inquiry. See where that's coming from. So it's about giving the money, initiating the exchange in a way where it feels so good giving the money. It feels so good because you know that you want that there's a fair exchange happening. I want this thing. It's invaluable. You can't put value on a smoothie. You really can't. Why? Because it makes you feel so good, right? The health benefit that it gives you. You don't know exactly what it's doing to your body. What if it eliminated free radicals that could have created a cancer cell? You could have got cancer, but this one really healthy smoothie you got helps with that. How much is that worth? Right? The 15 minutes of enjoying that smoothie and getting into alignment and then getting onto a client call, and that 15 minutes of enjoying that smoothie, bringing you to the moment, allowing you to relish in the tastes and the scents and the smells and getting so aligned, and then getting on a phone call, a sales call, and killing it, crushing it, and making 10 grand from that call. Your $15 smoothie was part of that, right? Because remember, we place the value on the things we receive too. So when I give you this money, I'm looking at the thing that I'm receiving as 10 times the value. 10 times the value. I'm giving you this $10 and I'm receiving $100. $1 million worth of value back. Wow, that feels good. That feels so good. Where else can I spend? And because you're feeling so abundant from the exchange, the universe is going to keep giving you more money to exchange because that's what you're asking for vibrationally. That's what you're asking for energetically. Because I'm creating abundance in exchange, I have to get more of that. I have to get more of that. And money's not meant to hold on to. It's meant to be exchanged and flowed throughout everyone. So the more you can get comfortable in the exchange, the more money you're going to have to exchange. And that's the secret. Letting money go in a great way that feels so good, knowing that you're getting a lot more back in value that was worth, right? Because the paper, you can't eat the paper and have an experience like the smoothie, right? So functionally, it's way more value. It's not going to kill free radicals, this little paper. Functionally, physically, it's always more value. It's freaking paper. Unless you're in Antarctica and you need to burn it to stay alive, it's not, or you need to write a note, it's not going to give you that much value intrinsically, or I should say extrinsically, right? So you're always getting so much more value back. You need to believe that. And then you need to believe that when I give this money away, I know more money is going to come back. This takes some faith. This takes trust. And sometimes trust, we're never in a lack of trust, but the trust that we just give trust in the wrong thing. Man, I know if I do this, I'm not going to be able to pay my bills. And I'm trusting that. I have faith in that. Let's start putting our faith into the unknown, into the things that are more aligned with our soul and ourselves and our truth, and our abundance, and that future self, which is really our true self, which is really the current self that we can shift to, right? Money blueprinting. Quick recap. How can I feel into the feelings right now and receive the things that I want right now that I think money is going to bring me to the best of my ability with what I have available to me? And lastly, how can I feel so good and abundant giving the money away in the exchange? Knowing that every time I give money away, I get so much more value back. Therefore, giving it away feels very great. Anything I receive feels very great. And if I'm in that flow, and I always know I have enough, my needs are met, I'm not attached, money will flow to you, has to flow to you in abundance. And it will come down to a practical level when you're in a coffee shop and you hear it, because that's you now. And you take advantage of the opportunity because it feels good, because you've been visualizing what that feels like to embody it. So do this for 30 days. Maybe watch this video over and over, right? But keep your visualizing steady. Keep doing it every day. And then make these new little choices that make you feel good about giving your money away and investing it in something that makes you feel good. Do that for 30 days. And you will have so much abundance come your way, I promise you. Love you guys.